Then the other
Good morning, it's 9 a.m. Monday, October 16, 2023. This is the Muscatine County Board of Supervisors. I'd like to call the meeting to order. First is to review the agenda.
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion by Jeff, second by Nathan. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next is discussion and possible action to approve claims dated October 16, 2023 in the amount of $2,906,314.93.
I'll move the approval.
Second.
Motion by Jeff, second by Nathan. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Next, we have a public hearing on a request from Glenn and Kathleen Houston, record owners, to rezone approximately 30.17 acres in Sweetland Township, located in parts of the southwest border of section 20 T77N-R1E, adjacent to 3553 Highway 22, from A1 Ag District to R1 Residential District. Morning, Eric.
Morning. On September 8th, the zoning commission held a public hearing on this rezoning request. There was not a whole lot of discussion on it, quite frankly, because a significant property to the east and the west around this proposed site is already zoned R1 residential district. The CSR is 38 of the parcel. The future land use map from our comprehensive plan does point to this area of the county as being expected residential development in the future. And so there was a motion made to recommend approval of rezoning from current A1 to proposed R1, and the vote was 4-0. There was no public, we received no correspondence in opposition. This one, in my opinion, does represent good and orderly planning for the future. So.
Okay. So this is a public hearing, and do I have anyone that wants to speak for or against this?
I'll speak for. I'm Glenn Houston, so I'm here representing the estimates. We're and are obviously interested in rezoning it, as Eric pointed out. Like to put a single-family home on this property. One of our daughters lives in California, and we're going to build her a house there if we get approval to do this.
Sure.
So that's the goal.
Perfect, get them back.
Oh man, we're loving that.
And they do have two separate parcels of land already, so there's no subdivision to come later for what they're proposing at this
And
point.
so Eric, some of the typical hurdles around setbacks with proximity of other residences won't be any issue as they go forward, knowing the plan.
Well, we don't look at the setbacks for like rural residences of 750 feet. The R1 district does have its own setbacks, just like any
Okay.
district does, but
But
they have more than enough land to
Yeah.
meet a single family home on that property.
Yeah.
The typical 50 yard front, 50 foot front yard setback, 15 on the sides, 40 in the rear, but that's the typical setbacks for R1.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So,
Very good.
saying nobody wants, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I've got a motion by Jeff.
I'll second that.
Second by Danny. This is a roll call vote. Jeff?
Aye.
Nathan?
Aye.
I vote aye. Danny?
Aye.
And Kirk?
Aye.
I think Mr. Houston had expressed some interest in asking you to consider waiving the third and final, but we could submit something to you in writing, his reasons for that, if you'd like, for next week.
Well, and zoning commission had nobody show up at the public hearing, so, in my opinion, I don't see any reason why we wouldn't consider that.
We'd make
Yeah.
that decision next week to waive it.
You could.
Cause we're set for the first, this would be the first reading today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know that you guys have ever waived other than just the third one.
Right.
But occasionally, when there's
Right.
really a straightforward rezoning request, it is something that from time to time is considered by the board, so. Especially when we're coming into fall and they're anxious to break ground.
There you go.
Okay.
What about winter setting in?
So,
It's coming.
So,
I move approval of the first reading.
I'll second.
I've got a motion by Nathan, a second by Jeff. This is a roll call vote. Jeff?
Aye.
Nathan?
Aye.
I vote aye. Danny?
Aye.
And Kirk?
Aye. Alrighty.
Motion passes.
Yeah, I don't see any problem doing that.
Next item is items with County Engineer Brian Horowski. First is action to approve the 2023 Weed Commissioners Report.
Good morning.
Yes, so this is our annual weed commissioners report. Matt Shutt, which he works in our department, he put together. He's our weed commissioner. One thing I do want to draw attention to is this year is a little different. The state gave them instructions to supply more of a narrative, which it should have been that supplement letter that was attached with it. Just kind of explain a little bit more in depth what's going on. I know that the annual report can be a little confusing at times, a lot of scientific names and whatnot.
Is that required by the state? Is that right?
It is now, yes.
Yeah, it's pretty thorough.
Yes. I think Matt did a good job writing. So,
Okay.
So that cost of $79.42.37 is your normal yearly in the ballpark expense for this
I believe so.
service.
I mean, I think things go up annually, but yes, I believe that's about right.
So that's in line with what we've always done in
Crazy.
the past, is all I'm asking.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Then I'd entertain a motion to approve.
I'll move the approval.
Second.
Motion by Jeff, second by Kurt. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Alright.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Next is discussion and possible action to approve various utility permits.
Yeah, so we have one utility permit today. It is from Lumen, which is formerly known as CenturyLink, from Muscatine, Iowa. They are requesting to bore telecommunication cable underneath 231st Street, in front of House 1879. Pretty straightforward.
I'll move the approval.
I'll second.
Motion by Jeff, second by Danny. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Project update.
Yes, I want to give an update on some of our design projects. We're kind of shifting out of the summer inspection work and surveying into some more design. Our Moscow Road project, which is a PCC overlay, check plans have been completed, and they've been submitted. So right now we're starting to work on permanent easement. We'll need some easement and permanent and temporary for doing some work on some culverts up there. Some of them need to be extended before we can pave it. Excuse me. And then our Trolley Ave Bridge out there by Kent Research Farm. That one finally got NEPA clearance. NEPA clearance is kind of like FHWA, the federal highway, their concurrence. So they kind of look at everything from environmental to the core to historical. They look at everything, and then they give you clearance, and then you're allowed to continue on. They are very backed up. So typically it takes 4 months or less. This one took 7 months, and it was a pretty clear-cut, straightforward bridge. So it's nice that we got it, but I guess all I'm getting at with sharing that is that there has been some delays, big-time delays when it comes to working with the feds.
It's always nice when Washington lets you do something in your own county.
Yes, very, very much so.
So basically now you have the approval to move forward in design, you don't?
Yes, so we have about 90% of the design done. So next stage will be check plans and acquiring right away. But we cannot acquire right away. We can't even start the process until we get that clearance. So it was good to finally get it. But talking with other counties, they're all struggling with the same issue. So, but yeah, that's what I had for a project update,
Okay.
and I did not have another. So
Nothing else?
Nope.
Very good.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Next is discussion and possible action to approve the minutes of the October 9, 2023 regular meeting.
Move to approve.
I got a motion by Jeff. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Kurt. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Correspondence. Jeff, do you have anything?
Yeah, I had a number of emails from Vicky Bishop down at Bayer, a safety person down there, concerning safety concerns on Pettibone. She feels we need to put, what all does she want? She wants crossing guards and signals on every railroad intersection and guardrails on, around all the mining sites. And I've explained to her numerous times that we would recommend that employees travel Stewart Road, down to Wiggins and that area. It's a far safer route with all the industrial traffic, and that we have limited ability. I have spoken with the railroad. I know Brian has spoken with the railroad to encourage them to look at the crossings down there. And as you saw his report a couple weeks ago, they've got one at least slated to replace next year. So
The crossings would be all on the railroad, it wouldn't be on
yeah,
us
right.
anyway.
The county has, all we can do is ask, and so I don't think she was real happy when I suggested that they just communicate with their employees to take another route, if that's your issue. You know, deer on the road, I'm not sure, we'll talk to the sheriff about that, see if he can do a little more policing, but that's about all I had for correspondence.
Okay. Nathan?
Let's see, I had notification that there will be a Grant Writers Network meeting on the 19th. There will be, and also I think all of us had this, it was right at the beginning of last week, right after a meeting, communications from an individual concerned about fine collections and repayment. We referred that to County Attorney Barry, who I think handled it very well. And that's all I had.
Okay. Yes, and the only thing that I had, to note was the fine collection situation there. Danny?
I had a second call from Jeff Hackett, about a tax issue. They, on a piece of property he has up on G28, they zoned it incorrectly when it was supposed to be ag exempt. They zoned it commercial, which led to more of a tax bill than he was expecting. Went back and forth. I've talked to Randy about it. I actually talked to Mark Lofton about it, and I talked to Scott and Jeff about it a couple weeks ago. The last direction we got from Randy was if they send 2 years of their Schedule F to Randy, they'll send that to the board of review, and they'll make a decision to see if can work with him on that overpayment. So that's one of the issues I had. And Jeff, you may have forgot, but we had that email from Sarah Carlson in regard to the TIP questions. She's asking about if we could provide some
And that'd
TIP
be,
money for
Nancy, if
partial
maybe
lot.
you could sit with Danny and I, and maybe Kayla, and we'll just talk a little bit about that. This is the second request. We have had a couple of developers that are interested in, wanted to know if the county, and I've called, I don't know of any, concerned about TIF and wanting to use TIF to do residential lot development in Muscatine County. And, my understanding of TIF, and, I don't know what the county would TIF for. We can't supplement profit, that's not allowed. We can't grant money, we have to purchase something through TIF. I know TIF, like we've done I know the county has participated in a couple of TIFs, and it's generally around job creation. They're very, very stringent rules on how much and what you can TIF. And, so residential is a whole different world. I talked a little bit with Andrew Fangman, city of Muscatine, and he's like, well, I don't know what the county can do. He said, but you'd have to do, there's a whole LMI set aside that you have to do if you do a TIF. So then how would we deal with it if we could do it? Would we buy infrastructure? I don't think the county wants to get into owning residential subdivision roads, because that would be the only thing available, or wells. That's not a business county government is in, and I don't think we want to go there. So, I had indicated that, I think Danny and I both, that we'd meet with them and talk with them and see what kind of things could happen, but I think it's a tough road. So maybe Nancy, you and Kayla and Tybee, and we can just sit down and say, I don't even know how you go about figuring out what you can do.
Yep, those are the only 2 things I had.
Okay. Kurt, do you have anything?
Yeah, I had 2 or 3 conversations, calls on the roads, grading, washboarding. I explained to them, waiting, get a little more moisture. I talked to Brian a couple times about it, explained to them how it's being handled, and that was it.
Okay. Any committee reports, Jeff?
Yeah, on the 9th, we had the MAGIC annual budget meeting. I noticed Brian didn't appear to be in the email chain, so I've asked Mark Arrington, we'll try to get him, make sure he's involved in that, because it was good for direction at least. And then on the 10th, I was asked to participate in a GMCCI advocacy committee around legislation. So I'm currently working on two issues. One is issues around volunteerism in EMS and EMTs, some state code that's kind of hurting our volunteers. We're not getting them like we need to for our paramedics. So Senator Lofgren and I are working on that, and I'm gonna try to enlist GMCCI to help us with that a little bit. What was the other one? Oh, the other one, we talked a little bit about, Mark was there, we talked a little bit about cemeteries, so I may reach out to Jim and see if there's anything. I don't think code-wise we really had anything. It's pretty clear, right? I don't, you know, the only thing I talked to Mark was if the county's responsible, you know, and it says we can't tax for it. I'm not sure how we create dollars if we're responsible for something and we can't tax for it. So that was my only comment to Mark. That seems a little crazy.
Okay. Nathan, you have
I
any
did
committees?
not,
No, I didn't have any.
I
Danny?
did
No?
not have any.
Kirk?
Monday the 9th, I also had the managing meeting with Jeff.
Okay, very good. Next is items with the administration office. First is review health and dental fund balances as of September 30th, 2023. That information is in your packet.
Yep, do you have any questions for me?
Well, it looks good to me.
Okay. Anything other, Nancy?
The only other thing is I wanted to note that, Tom Harper, who's on our zoning commission, has served 2 full terms, and typical county policy is, once they've served 2 full terms, we advertise the vacancy. Tom's welcome to apply again if he wants to, but we advertise to see if anyone else is interested. So I will be putting that ad out this week and see what we get for applications.
Are there any
How
requirements?
often does that meet?
Monthly if they have cases.
If we have cases.
Monthly, okay. Okay, very good.
Are there any requirements in terms of gender or qualifications?
I did bring that folder.
They have to be a rural resident
They
now,
have to
right?
be residents of the unincorporated areas.
Unincorporated area,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
And I think,
We usually always attempt gender balance,
yeah, but I can't, I didn't bring that folder in with me, so.
which we have right now. We would technically need a male.
We need a male.
Because we're, yeah.
Do we have 3 females?
Females.
Yeah, so it will need to be a
okay.
male.
All right, very good. Let's see here. Next is receive information from county employees. Do I have any county employees that wish to address the board on any issue at this time?
I'd
See-
like to mention it's early voting week for the November 7th election coming up for city schools. This Wednesday, October 18th, will be the start of early voting in the auditor's office. We're open 8 to 4:30, Monday through Friday. There'll be no standalone satellite voting stations for this upcoming election because there were no petitions filed by the deadline, which was October 9th deadline. I'd like to remind voters who have requested an absentee ballot by mail that the earliest we're allowed to mail those will be this Wednesday, October 8th. And if they're submitting a form, the form must be submitted to us if they want a mail ballot by next Monday, October 23rd at 5 p.m. So that's our week.
Okay. Is there any others that wish to address the board? Seeing no one come forward. Receive comments from the public. Do I have anyone from the public that would like to address the board on any issue at this time? Seeing no one come forward, it is 9:21 and we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.